Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Aether Revolt. That's Ian Duke and I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. It's round 14. Just like last round, we have two players with 3 losses. Of course, we're one round further down the line here, but any loss by either of these players most likely eliminates them from top 8 competition. We've got Lucas Esper Berthoud. He's playing against Samuel Tharmaratnam. And I can tell you that we've got Mardu Vehicles versus Black Red Aggro. Put on your seatbelts. This is going to be a quick one. Let's head down to the feature match here for round 14 here from PT Aether Revolt. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Aether Revolt. We're in Dublin, Ireland. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Ian Duke in the booth. We're ready for round 14 action where we've got Sam Tharmaratnam. Take a look at Sam there. And on the other side of the table, Lucas Esper Berthoud. From Brazil, he's playing for Team Dex Third. Sam's on Almost Finished. That's the name of their team. A nice handshake here as the players play what is going to end up being a very important match one way or the other for both of these players. And I'm going to tell you, this is not the time to go get a sandwich. We've got Mardu Vehicles versus Black Red Aggro. Sometimes these ones are over pretty quickly. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes you do see people trading off and using removal spells, and it can drag on. But for the most part, it's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, just looking through Sam's deck list here, it's pretty unique, compared to what else I've seen here in this tournament. But he is not aiming to play a long game. I can tell you that. You can see he's right out of the gates here with Inventor's Apprentice, looking to cast a 2-drop.
And he doesn't have one. Kind of interesting there. Lucas probably was holding his breath when he passed the turn back, but only taking 1 damage means no 2-drop artifact. And that's a big deal here as Sam Tharmaratnam's deck is set up to do just that. Veteran Motorist is a turn 2 play for Lucas. He's finishing resolving that scry right now. Ooh, but shock. At least he's going to do something with his mana as Sam Tharmaratnam as he takes down that 2-drop from Lucas.
Really need a big play here from Sam.
Yeah, he wants to add something to the board that gets that Inventor's Apprentice up to 2-3 and can help apply more pressure. I think he's got a Pia Nalar in his hand. We know he has a mountain. He had to reveal that to play his prior 2 lands. That would be pretty good.
Yeah. Totally agree. Adds an artifact to the battlefield, powers up the Inventor's Apprentice, gives him 5 total power on the battlefield.
All right, there she is. Yep, there's the Thopter. That's going to pump up the Adventurous Apprentice and knock Lucas down to 17 before passing the turn back. Hey, look, Pia Nalar for Lucas as well. Well, that'll do a good job. Sam would love to see a removal spell here, but unfortunately for him, that's not what he finds. He just finds another mountain. And these aggro decks, they do not like it when you draw this many lands. It can get kind of touchy. He's got a Bomat Courier here, and he's just going to go ahead and send that thing into the red zone as well.
Yeah, Bomat Courier, a powerful card. We haven't seen that much this weekend, presumably because of the presence of Walking Ballista.
And I think we're going to see him just cash that in here. He can pump up Thopter and still pay the red for the Bomat Courier if he doesn't have anything he wants left in his hand.
Looks like he just trades it off.
Okay, so he does have something that he wants. Of course, if he sacrifices it, he'd have to discard his hand, but also he wouldn't be able to trade there. So,
yeah,
also possibly just valuing on-board presence here.
Right.
Because I think he's out of gas at hand. He's just got a couple of lands left in his hand. He'd love to get rid of those. Ooh. Unlicensed Disintegration. That was a nice one.
Yeah, really nice pickup here. Allows him to take out the Gideon.
So, kill your knight, do 3 to Gideon. You take 2. Gideon takes 1. And you go down to 11 and lose your entire board state. So that was a very nice draw step there for Sam.
Even so, as things are settling out here with Sam being totally out of gas, I kind of like Lucas's position, even though he's a little bit lower on life total here. Assuming he's got some gas in the tank to follow up with.
And that he does. Veteran motorist, number 2. He sees an Inventor's Apprentice and a land for his scry. He's going to have none of it. He's like, I can do better. Just put them both on the bottom.
Let's take a look at Lucas's hand here. Adds Toolcraft Exemplar and Scrap Heap Scrounger to the battlefield with a shock left in hand to back it all up.
Oh, yeah, I can see why you were kind of liking his side there. Sam has drawn a Heart of Kirin for the turn. Is that good here, though? He's got Lucas down to 11. He can start bashing with it.
Yeah, in theory. The trouble is it has a crew cost of 3, and he has exactly 3 power on the battlefield.
It's
so
touchy, isn't it?
Lucas can kind of disassemble that whole setup with the shock that he has in hand. It'll give Sam the opportunity to crew once this turn defensively, but then after that, he's going to be at the mercy of his top decks to find something else that can help him crew the heart. Now, either that or Lucas can just sort of attack in with everything, potentially allow the Heart of Kirin to block, and then shock the heart afterwards. So, a couple different ways you can go here.
You'll shock to the heart, huh?
Ah.
Let's see if it happens. Yeah, well, we're going to combat.
And now Sam has to think, well, if I crew my heart, might get hit by removal spell pre-blockers, or it could get shocked after I block. But if he doesn't crew the heart, then his blocks are pretty awkward with his other creatures. He doesn't really want to trade them off because then he can't crew the heart again in the future. So it does go ahead and crew it up and blocks the veteran motorist.
All right, well, he says, Sammy, you're to blame. And there goes Shock taking down the Heart of Kirin, and he's even got a follow-up play here with another Scrap Heap Scrounger. And this one is starting to fall away from Sam Tharmaratnam. He's getting in for 3, but facing 9 power worth of attackers? What's he going to do here?
Looks like Sam did pick up a copy of Shock. Can maybe take out the Toolcraft Exemplar.
Sure.
Opts just to save it, though.
That's a good one.
Well, I could buy him a little bit. I don't know how he gets in the last points of damage. So you can see what happened here. Lucas decided to leave back one of his Scrap Heap Scroungers there. That way he can crew up his Aether Sphere Harvester that he's drawn for the turn, which destroys any races that Sam had in mind. Well, can I sneak in the last? But no,
right.
You cannot anymore.
And I think that was his plan, given that he was saving the shock there. I think he was saving it for face damage at the end. So I think Sam's really at the mercy of finding unlicensed disintegration. I don't think he found it this turn. And that Aether Sphere Harvester is just going to run away with the game.
And a Gideon, too. This is just getting out of hand for Lucas. My goodness sakes. He's going to make a knight, and Sam just has to sit back in his chair and say, all right, well, I've drawn a bunch of lands. You went Aether Sphere Harvester into Gideon. Doesn't look too good for Sam Tharmaratnam here.
Yeah, you can take a look at Aether Sphere Harvester over there on the right. One of the powerful new vehicles here from Aether Revolt. Able to spend energy to gain lifelink into end of turn. Has a really cheap crew cost of 1. And quite a big butt on it with 5 toughness there, making it resilient to a lot of removal spells. Really a mirror breaker here in these aggro matchups.
Yeah, and that got the job done there for Lucas. So that is game 1 going to Lucas in this firefight of Mardu vehicles versus Black-Red aggro. And Sam Tharmaratnam, he's going to have to pick up 2 back-to-back wins with his Black-Red aggro deck if he is going to stay alive for top 8. We've got a lot more magic coming for you after these messages.
Put what you've learned from watching the Pro Tour into action and compete to become the champion of your favorite game store. Test your skills and your new standard deck at Game Day. Top finishers are awarded special Game Day prizes, including full art premium promo cards and a champion playmat for the winner.
And welcome back to the feature match area here at Pro Tour Aether Revolt. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with R&D insider Ian Duke. And looks like we're going to go back to our main match here as the players are just getting finished off sideboarding. And they'll be resolving their mulligans in just a moment here. Just again, to set the stage for you as far as what's on the line for these players, both Lucas and Sam are sitting at 10-3, which is, well, that's a stellar record at the Pro Tour. I mean, that is, you know, they can be proud of that right now, but that's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about the top 8, because generally speaking, how things break down is that if you've got only 3 losses on your record by the time we're done with our Swiss portion, you're in the top 8. And these players know that. And so what that means is they know that if they pick up a loss in this match here in round 14 or any of the next 2, that they're not going to be able to make the top 8 under any normal circumstance. And so every match they play is incredibly high pressure, because if, you know, like right now, Sam lost that first game. If he loses his next game, that was a potential shot at a top 8 evaporating. And when you get this close down the stretch, you can see it. I mean, the goalpost is right there, and you're like, have I ever won 3 matches of Magic in a row? I have. I've done it before. My deck is good. I'm playing well, and you can almost get there. So you're going to see usually relief when the player wins, and devastation when they don't. I mean, these players don't come here for a solid finish. And I did pretty good. You know, they come here to make the top 8. That's where the big pro points are. That's where you can start running it up. That's where you can make runs at the Pro Players Club and get up to gold and even platinum, is by deep finishes here at the Pro Tour. So every match we're going to watch down the stretch here on day 1 is going to mean the world to these players. You don't get that many opportunities. Only 4 Pro Tours a year.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Top 8 definitely means everything from an individual standpoint. But it's worth mentioning, you know, these players are also playing for their teams. So even if they do pick up that 4th loss and they're out of contention for the top 8, they're still going to be, you know, clawing tooth and nail for every single pro point they can pick up, especially with this being the first Pro Tour of the season, the first Pro Tour of our team series. You know, they want to do everything they can to make their team succeed.
Yeah. Lucas is playing for Team Dex 3rd, while Sam is on Team Almost Finished with 2 ends.
So in our last game here, we saw Sam Tharmaratnam kind of get flooded out here with a pretty anemic draw. See if we can put together anything better here. Not looking great off the start here with the mulligan to 6. So now it's going to be even more important that he comes out with a really, really fast draw, because he is not going to be able to fight a prolonged game being down a card and on the play. This is post-sideboard here, being our second game of the match, so it's possible these players have brought in a little extra removal to fight each other, you know, possibly some like Haymaker-type cards that are particularly effective in this aggro mirror match. We did see Aether Sphere Harvester kind of locking up the game for Lucas at the end of the previous game. So, you know, if he has any additional copies of those, I'm sure they're coming in.
Let's take a look at the 6 here for Sam. Oh no.
Immediately sends it back. No lands.
No. This is where the big pressure starts. If you're Sam, you can start to feel it slipping away. Again, you know, you get that hope going of, okay, can run this up, but look at the look on his face. He knows, oh, please give me a playable 5 here. You know how these matchups can go with the right curve. They can just get the job done with 5 cards, but it needs to be specific, and they can't really stumble at any point.
Yeah, I've certainly, you know, we've all had the experience of mulliganing to 5 with an aggro deck and still squeaking it out, especially, you know, if you're against a control deck, if you're against a slower deck that can stumble. The trouble here is Lucas's deck is also very fast, also playing a lot of small creatures, also playing cheap interactive removal spells, you know, like Shock, maybe like Fatal Push. So just being down this many cards is going to be a really, really tough uphill battle for Sam.
Oh, no. He's got a 1-lander. Okay. 1-lander with a Shock, a Collective Brutality, Incendiary Flow, and a Heart of Kirin. That actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's a snap keep with at least 1 land at 5 cards, especially with the new Scry mulligan rule. So.
He's going to take care of the Inventor's Apprentice immediately.
You can see we've already started the advantage bar squarely in the favor of Lucas, even though the game has barely started here, just because of that mulligan down to 5. That's how massive a disadvantage Sam Tharmaratnam is at, just even out of the gates here.
No way to crew up his Heart of Kirin.
Pretty awkward lands there as well for Sam with the double mountain.
How about triple mountain?
Triple mountain, that's rough. So he'd love to see something like PNLR here, would give him the 3 power to crew that Heart of Kirin.
He's actually just going to go ahead and keep that extra mountain in his hand even here, Ian.
Okay. Is that perhaps because he has Collective Brutality, he wants to save an extra card he doesn't mind discarding?
Absolutely. That's the reason for it. And he does not have the ability. I mean, he needs to really protect every little bit of advantage that he can possibly get. And this worked out very well for him. He drew a black mana source the next turn, and that is going to let him Collective Brutality discarding that mountain that he purposely kept in his hand and try to get some value going here. At least there's a shock up there.
So this is interesting. So Collective Brutality, second mode, lets him take an instant or sorcery out of Lucas's hand.
So Skywhaler, shot, shock, unlicensed disintegration of the choices.
That's right. And you can make a case for either the Skywhaler shot or the unlicensed disintegration. The unlicensed disintegration is the more powerful, more flexible card, but the Skywhaler shot allows Lucas to scry. And Lucas's hand is pretty awkward right now. He's sitting on all reactive removal spells plus a Sky Sovereign that he doesn't have the tools to crew right now. It's true he can activate his Needle Spires on a later turn, but that's going to be very, very mana intensive turn to turn. So Lucas's hand, very reactive, could potentially give Sam enough time to draw out of this this mulligan and mana situation that he's run into here. Also notable that the Heart of Kirin isn't super susceptible to the Sky Sovereign. Sky Sovereign does come out here, doesn't really get any value off of its Enter the Battlefield trigger. But, you know, Lucas, with nothing else to do with his mana, might as well kind of get that out there and maybe threaten to use the Needle Spires.
Now he's going to need more than that. He can just start attacking with it. All right, in he goes.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know,
It's
I'm thinking of the double strike on the Needle Spires as representing 4, but it's actually base 2 power with double strike, so it can't even crew.
Yeah,
the
but he
Sky
can
Sovereign
attack
by itself. Yeah, it can attack for 4. It's true.
Which it did. Unfortunately for Lucas, Sam just snapped it off with a shock. And now we're in business. He gets to attack, but once again, if Lucas can find one of the many creatures in his deck to crew that skyship, he can start just shooting down that Scrap Heap Scrounger. Did Lucas find anything?
Yeah, there's certainly a world where Lucas just, you know, bricks and finds lands for a couple turns in a row, and Sam's able to just get in there with the Heart of Kirin.
Oh no, he found a Heart of Kirin.
Okay.
Now he can go up the chain here. So he's going to crew, attack for 6, kill. So that was really all he needed. He needed a 2-power creature to go with his Heart of Kirin there. And we have vehicles jumping into
Wait,
vehicles.
I'm a little confused here, though. Isn't it Inventor's Apprentice only 2 power? Heart of Kirin's crew 3?
That's what I was trying to check.
You're right. He did it a little too quickly there, didn't he?
Okay,
Looks like we have
need
a
to
judge
back
coming
up
over to
to
resolve the
the
situation.
first
We'll listen
crew
in.
is the illegal part, so we can remove all of that. And the game is
Okay.
fixed pretty
I mean,
easily.
I'm so close to conceding anyway, so like.
You are going to have a warning for a game rule violation.
course.
And any penalties today?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
I apologize.
You can keep on playing, and you'll have 1 extra minute if you need.
Okay, so what happened there is Lucas tried to crew the Heart of Kirin, and the Heart of Kirin, you know, would then crew the Sky Sovereign, but actually didn't have enough base initial power to crew the Heart.
You got to feel bad for Sam. Did you hear what he said?
Yeah, I thought I heard him say, "I'm about to concede anyway, so you know what does it really matter?" But actually, I mean, I can see a world where if Lucas just draws a couple lands in a row, you know, Sam's able to just keep getting in there with the Heart. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, it is absolutely not. We must say that Lucas is ahead in the game. As there's a lot of cards in his deck that are quite good here. But in the meantime, the Heart of Kirin is going to take big chunks out of Lucas's life total, and if he just runs really terribly here and keeps drawing lands, which he just did, this could work out. Now, I'm assuming that Sam is out of food for his Scrounger, though maybe there's another creature in there.
I don't think he's played another creature so far this game.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, that's unfortunate for him because this is a golden opportunity to get in for a bunch of damage. Oh, but there's a Veteran Motorist.
And that scry is going to matter a lot here, setting
And
up
the-
future draws.
And the 3-power. Both of his vehicles are crew 3. He's actually going to attack with the Heart of Kirin rather than the Sky Sovereign.
It's interesting there. I guess potentially doesn't want to open up the Sky Sovereign to a removal spell like Unlicensed Disintegration on a turn where it can't get value by killing a creature anyway. It's a little bit debatable, I think, but...
Well, it's interesting because it does change the clock significantly. That Sky Sovereign hitting 3 times would end the game.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it gets pumped from the Motorist as well, where it would take 4 turns from the Heart of Kirin.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know, second Incendiary Flow is going to take down the Veteran Motorist, but Now he's kind of chaining them together. The scries are starting to pay dividends here. And now he gets to attack while the shields are down, take down the Inventor's Apprentice, get in for 7.
And the trouble is, Sam can keep trying to answer these veteran motorists one for one, but each time Lucas is scrying 2, getting to set up his next draws, making it more probable that he outclasses Sam over time in the threat versus answer battle.
That's
and
game.
If Lucas ever finds Scrap Heap Scrounger.
It's just over here, right? He can get back the Scrounger and chump block once.
Yep.
Is that his line?
Oh, sorry.
Black mana, please. There we go. That's also a warning for yourself. Anything new today?
No.
Okay. Both have warnings for game all.
He's got 2 lands in his hand. Oh, he's going to crew now and attack. All right, well, there's Unlicensed Disintegration, which gets the job done. Either way, the Sky Sovereign was going to finish up. Pretty stoic look from Lucas there, but that does keep him live for top 8, and a big smile from Sam. I mean, he is a pro, and he's been here before, but that is going to sting. You mentioned it, though. He still has a lot to fight for. A lot of pro points, good amount of money on the table, and his team almost finished, is going to be looking for him to have a strong finish here, as he's at 10-4 now, can still scoop up a bunch of pro points and a really strong finish coming down the stretch. Let's take a look at Martin Yuza. He's playing Jund Energy Aggro against none other than Gabriel Nassif, playing Mardu Vehicles. Right now, Martin is at 10-3 in the tournament, 9-3-1 for Gabe Nassif. And how are we looking here?
Yeah, a little early to tell here. Just kind of jumping into the game. We can see Nassif is up a game in the match here, this being game 2. We've seen both these players on camera throughout the weekend. I had the pleasure of watching Martin Yuza play, I think, 2 rounds ago from the spectator area, and his deck was looking pretty impressive here. I like these Jund variants on the black-green core, where they're also leveraging the energy synergies as well as the +1/+1 counter synergies. Just a really cool mix.
He's also playing Greenbelt Rampager, which is just a cool card.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff that card can do, especially when you start combining it with Winding Constrictor.
Did you see that little trick?
Yeah, here's a nice trick. He actually played it, used it to crew the vehicle before it returned to his hand.
That's sweet. And he's got 2 energy now, too, so he can play it and keep it around if you'd like. No? He does not. He's decided to keep it in his hand rather than keep it on the battlefield.
Fun fact about Greenbelt Rampager is actually a late redesign in the process, redesigned to its artwork. Originally, the card was going to be a pump spell, I think, which kind of makes sense given the elephant there. I think I'm telling the truth about this. At least that's my recollection.
I believe you.
And it's actually a pretty cool card. We sort of sent out to the designers, hey, we need to shift stuff around a little bit and swap rarities and change what the cards do a little bit. Can you come up with a cool match for the art for this card? That's something that can often come up a little bit later on in the R&D process.
Yeah, I feel the same way about lunch that Greenbelt Rampager feels about energy.
You must eat it if there are 2 lunches.
It's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate photograph of me when lunch comes out. All right, well, Nassif played his land for the turn, so we've got that out of the way. He's still planning out his bigger picture here. Nassif is known for his deliberate play style. You can see he's got a draw in the tournament. I don't know why. I didn't actually see it, but he doesn't rush. Okay, he's going to activate here.
7 to 8.
And jam in for 5. Put himself back up to 8 and ship the turn back. So let's see what Martin has on his side.
Things getting really, really close here on life
This is
totals.
interesting.
Probably looking at the last, couple turns of this game here, one way or the other.
Martin's got that Greenbelt Rampager back in his hand.
So we know Martin has at least 7 points here with the Heart of Kieran, which can be activated by the Greenbelt Rampager and then the Scrap Heap Scrounger coming in. Nassif has left up 2 lands, could be representing a shock or something along those lines. Although I don't think I saw any instant speed interactive spells in his hand. He may be just kind of, semi-bluffing here, making Martin, think about committing.
Martin's going to play a Voltaic Brawler, use that to crew the Heart of Kieran, and attack for 7 to put Nassif down to 1.
Oh, no.
Nassif says, sure, what could go wrong here? I'll go to 1.
And Martin Yuza sitting on an unlicensed disintegration, but not enough mana to cast it. And so we have a 1-turn window for Nassif to put something together here.
So close.
Martin Yuza leaving up 2 mana for Harness
Unlicensed
Lightning.
Disintegration off the top for Nassif.
Okay, that's something.
Is that enough to kill Martin?
Don't think so.
No, not through the
Not through the Harness Lightning.
Yeah, that's right. It's so close because he also has Chandra in his hand. If Martin was on nothing, it would have been.
Right. But, Nassif has to be thinking about, because he knows about the Greenbelt Rampager in Martin Yuza's hand. He knows Martin declined to play that, which, would have been a perfectly serviceable blocker there against Nassif's Scrap Heap Scrounger. So he's got to be thinking, okay, either Martin has a removal spell like a Harness Lightning that he needs the 2 mana for, or he's just bluffing, but much more likely that he is leaving up removal. So in that case, what do you do if you're Nassif?
Yeah, the thing is, I don't know if Nassif has a great alternate plan. The Heart of Kieran is really annoying for him here. He could take it down with Unlicensed Disintegration.
No, you're not. You're on a second.
How much are you?
He could just also play Chandra.
So Scrap Heap Scrounger comes in, it can't block anyway, sort of might as well.
Yep.
And does Martin pull the trigger on the Harness Lightning? Looks like he does. Just no need to risk anything by taking that extra 3 damage.
And this is important because, remember, the Unlicensed Disintegration only does the 3 extra damage if you control an artifact. Now, the key thing, of course, is that Nassif is at 1 here and facing down at least 2 lethal threats on his next turn. He does have a Shambling Vent down there in this land that he can use to gain a little bit of life and block a creature. But it's going to be pretty difficult. The Voltaic Brawler, still 3 energy for Martin Yuza, so that can get bigger.
I'm just not seeing a way for Nassif to put anything together here. Or even to defend himself for another turn. Looks like almost no matter what he does, Martin Yuza really has this locked up, especially considering the Unlicensed Disintegration in Martin's hand.
All right, he passes the turn back, which is going to be music to Martin Yuza's ears and mean that we are very likely to see a game 3 between these 2 players. Greenbelt Rampager is going to gobble up some energy. He's going to use it to crew the heart, and he can just attack with 3 lethal threats while still keeping up the ability to kill Nassif if Nassif fires up that Shambling Vent. Which he is going to do.
Nassif being ever so deliberate here.
Yep.
Maybe fishing for a little bit more information, seeing if Martin plays another removal spell. can get a better picture of what his deck list looks like and maybe how he sideboarded in preparation for Game 3 here.
Which is now incoming. That was Martin Yuza winning the second game here in our feature match area. Got the job done. It looks like we still got action over at our back table as well. Sean McLaren versus Owen Turtenwald. Last I heard, Sean McLaren was up a game in this match. This is Black-Green Delirium in the hands of Sean, and Owen's on Mardu vehicles. It looks like it is still the case that Sean finds himself up a game against number 3 in the world currently, Owen Turtenwald. He's always somewhere near the top, often at the actual top.
Also, I believe at the top of his team in terms of performance here in the tournament. So a lot of hopes riding on Owen.
That was game, by the way. That was Owen Turtenwald attacking for the win. So we're going to get a Game 3 on both of these matches. Both of the players, by the way, in this match are also 10-3, and in that similar situation I described for our main match. Got a moment here in Dublin. Got to say the teams thing has been really cool. We are debuting teams here out on the Pro Tour, and you'll see some of the players like Martin Yuza there wearing a jersey that represents his team. In his case, he's on Team Channel Fireball Fire, for example. And, his opponent, Gabriel Nassif, is on Team Opportunity. He's also got a hoodie there with their logo on it. Some of them have their names on the back, so you can pick out your favorite players out of the group.
Yeah, I've been loving the team aspect of today's competition. Really looking forward to the rest of the season. Part of my job here for R&D is also to sort of walk around, talk to the players, get a sense of what they like about the tournament, what they like about changes to the tournament structure and the OP system. And I talked a lot to players this weekend about what they think of the team series, and the response has been universally positive. I've had a lot of people just coming up to me and saying how awesome it is to finally feel like that their results are being counted for their team, and that they have that sense of camaraderie, and that there's a good reason to stay in the tournament and gather as many pro points as they want. So definitely a lot of excitement there, and this is just the beginning. I think we're going to see really big things emerging from this team series this year.
Okay, players are examining their opening hands. Is that a keep?
Yeah, looks like it to me.
Inspiring Vantage and a couple of Thraben Inspectors. He's going to need to find a land in the first couple of turns.
I think I saw a second land there. Actually,
you did see a second?
Yeah, Spire Bluff Canal.
Ah, you're right. I see it at the back. All right, nice. It's a good opener for Nassif. And a reasonable opener here for Martin Yuza. He's got an energy sub-theme to his deck. A lot of his cards use energy in different ways. So the energy he gets off of this Attune with Ether is going to be absolutely useful down the line.
Yeah, Martin's deck's sort of a hybrid strategy between the Winding Constrictor decks and the Energy Beatdown decks. Although, actually, I'm not sure if Martin's deck in particular is playing Winding Constrictor. I did a deck tech earlier with Simon Nielsen, and he was much more in the camp of base black-green with Winding Constrictor and then adding on Energy. But Martin may be taking a slightly different direction, as kind of more of a red-green Energy Beatdown deck, but with unlicensed Disintegration.
Yes, that is correct. That is exactly what he's doing. Here's a Heart of Kirin now for Martin Yuza. A nice threat. 3 lands on the battlefield for Nassif. He's got a Heart of Kirin of his own after he chips in. And then he's got another copy of Thraben Inspector as well. So working his way up to being able to crew that Heart of Kirin. It costs 3. He's almost there. Okay, here's Rishkar now for Martin Yuza. Fortunately, he's not going to have an opportunity to put a counter on his Heart of Kirin, though that does give him the ability to crew it, which isn't too bad. And it looks like he's going to stay back on defense here.
Yeah, the way things are shaping up here, Martin just looking just a step behind here of what Nassif is up to. And this is going to be pretty big here. Here comes DePaula. Now
That's
this is huge. Yep.
Ugh. So brutal. I was thinking of the veteran motorist as being a big problem, but DePaula does effectively the same thing. So once the Heart of Kirin is active, it's going to get +1/+1 just as a static effect, and that means that it is going to be able to safely fly right past Martin Yuza's copy of the same card. And that's just brutal, especially given that Martin gave up an attack step to make sure that he could leave that back. That did not work out well for him at all. Martin's going to drop down to 13 after taking 5 in the air. And you mentioned it felt like he was a step behind. Now it feels like he might be 2 steps behind. Ooh, is this a Gear Hulk? No, it's a Sky Sovereign.
Ooh,
nice.
Wow. A nice swing back for Martin Yuza.
Yeah.
Really evening things up here. Sky Sovereign taking out DePaula. Shrinking things back down to kind of even footing in the vehicle fight here. It does leave Martin open for a turn, though. So, if Nassif can follow up with another creature here to crew that Heart of Kirin, he's going to crack in for a bunch of damage. And that's going to leave Martin feeling pretty pressured on life totals here. So this has been a very tempo-oriented game so far.
Chandra in hand for Gabriel Nassif as he ponders his options.
Looks like also a third 3-bit inspector and a fatal push. So a little bit of interaction potential here.
Yeah, he's got a clue on the battlefield that he could spend his mana on as well. So a lot of options here for Gabe. And he's going to go for Chandra. He can take out Rishkar with that, or he can start ticking upwards.
I think I like taking out Rishkar from Nassif's standpoint here. Martin's played vehicles so far, but hasn't had too much in the way of creatures. He had to play the Rishkar without any other creatures on turn 3, which could indicate he has a creature light hand. So, I think taking out Rishkar here and maybe just kind of holding your breath for a second and hoping that Martin doesn't have a follow-up creature, that would be huge. I mean, that would basically be the game, I think, from Nassif's standpoint, if he can dodge a creature for a turn here and leave those vehicles inert. And actually uses the loyalty from Chandra to crew Heart of Kirin, saying, yeah, you've probably got a way to activate those vehicles on your next turn to crew them up. And in that case, Chandra's going to die, so I might as well just get in the extra 4 damage here. And that totally makes sense. Yeah, spending 1 loyalty on your Planeswalker to get in 4 damage seems totally worth it to me. Even if it means the Planeswalker dying.
Yeah, Martin Yuza falling down to 7 here. Things starting to look good for Gabriel Nassif. Got a Scrap Heap Scrounger. He can use that to crew either vehicle. He's going to use it for the Sky Sovereign.
And Martin, thinking about if he wants to play the Greenbelt Rampager pre-combat and also crew up the Heart of Kirin, decides not to. Just coming in with the Sky Sovereign, takes out a 3-bit Inspector. And we'll see if he has anything post-combat here.
Probably just play the Rampager.
Yeah, and then leaving it back, able to crew the Heart of Kirin on defense.
Yes. And pass the turn back to Nassif.
So maybe evening things up a little bit there.
Yeah, that helped. That helped. Especially if Nassif is out of gas as far as creatures go. Because right now he does not have the ability, at least easily, to crew up that Heart of Kirin. But yes, he does have more.
Cracks the clue, picks up a card.
Yeah, he's got 2 copies of Aether Hub in his hand now and a Thraben Inspector. So he actually is short of being able to crew.
This could be a big turning point here for Martin Yuza.
Absolutely. Look at this.
Another Thraben Inspector comes down. Only 2 power on the board, not the 3 that he needs to crew Heart of Kirin, could crack that clue, but then, you know, his turn's basically over there. He hasn't really added a lot to the board. And that Sky Sovereign's going to just crack back in again and take out another Thraben Inspector.
Yeah, continually beating back the ability to crew these vehicles. Things are getting interesting here. Ooh, that was a Harness Lightning off the top for Martin Yuza as well.
That's very big.
He has no energy currently. The Rampager gobbled that up, but even just Harness Lightning on its own can be good.
Yeah, unfortunately, no energy means he can't take out Heart of Kirin if that gets active. It's not active right now. So, you know, Martin can just kind of fire up both of his vehicles and crack in for 10, take out one of those Thraben Inspectors and just say, okay, you're at 4. I have 2 flying vehicles on the battlefield ready to come in. What do you got?
Martin's picked up a second copy of Sky Sovereign in his hand as well. He could take out both Thraben Inspectors if he thinks that that's worth it.
Yeah, the downside of that plan is it does leave him without mana to cast Harness Lightning at instant speed, which would be a nice interaction to have on Nassif's next turn. So sure enough, I think we just see...
I'll make this a big guy and I'll put it like
He's going to crew the Sky Sovereign, and then what he intends to do here is attack with it, take down just one of the Thraben Inspectors.
Okay, and Nassif may have said, hold on, you know, it might have an effect, because we do see Nassif has a copy of Fatal Push in his hand. He, of course, can't take out the Sky Sovereign, but might be thinking about, you know, okay, I want to take out that Heart of Kirin if it gets crewed. I want to take out maybe the Greenbelt Rampager.
Ooh, there was an Aether Hub in hand for Martin Yuza.
Oh, that's a big deal, because as we were saying before, Harness Lightning was not enough to take out Nassif's Heart of Kirin previously, because it only represents 3 damage, but that energy is now the 4th energy to deal the 4th damage.
Has this one swung back in Martin Yuza's favor?
I think it may have, actually. You know, not in a huge insurmountable way, but Nassif's got to put something together really quickly here.
He really does. Martin is setting up a 2-turn kill here by attacking with the Sky Sovereign, but not the Heart of Kirin last turn. But if you look, now it's lethal in the air on its own. So either way, it was going to take an attack twice with the Sky Sovereign and once with the Heart. He decided to spread them out to front load them onto the next attack. There's Fatal Push to kill the Rampager. Martin does not crew in response.
So Nassif picking up a new card for the turn. Looks like a Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Right.
And just other than that, a pair of lands in his hand. So, you know, Scrap Heap Scrounger can now crew the Heart of Kirin.
Okay.
But we know Martin Yuza has that Harness Lightning, and of course he picked up that 4th energy through the Aether Hub. So he has that Heart of Kirin covered whenever it decides to get crewed.
That's a pretty strong, pretty short there.
Yeah, he can check the video playback. I'm trying to see if there's anything I can identify in the game that might help us figure that out.
I'm a million% sure.
Okay.
2 minutes.
Looks like there may be some discussion about either sequencing of lands being played, or if Martin played 2 lands in 1 turn, something like that. I mean, we certainly did see him play the Aether Hub last turn, so
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly where the question is there, but it looks like they may be just continuing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see that. All right. Sorry.
It looks like they've got it sorted out, though. So there's that Scrap Heap Scrounger from the Nassif, leaving him with just 2 lands in hand.
So if Nassif does crew up that Heart of Kirin, which it looks like he's about to do here, that does leave it vulnerable to Harness Lightning from Martin Yuza. And from that point, you know, Nassif would just have a Thraben Inspector and a couple lands in hand, and I think that's gonna leave Martin Yuza firmly in the lead here, if not ready to take the game on the following turn. So here comes that Harness Lightning, and with it a big advantage for Martin Yuza.
Yeah, this is going to make life incredibly difficult for Nassif.
So if Martin can top deck a 3-power creature on this turn, he'll win.
He will win on the spot. He actually found Unlicensed Disintegration, which is good enough as well. He can just crew up the Sky Sovereign, attack with it, and then just point that Unlicensed Disintegration at one of Nassif's creatures for the final 3.
That's what it looks like to me. Does he have black mana? Yes, he does.
Take 6, go to 2, and this should do it. Martin's going to pass the turn back with the win in hand. He's got 3 artifacts on the battlefield, so he knows that he can't be interacted in the way of like, well, let's kill your artifact in response. That's not going to happen here.
Right. So yeah, this is not a slow roll. This is Martin just playing around the fact that if he points Unlicensed Disintegration at the Thraben Inspector, and Nassif has some way to remove the Thraben Inspector, he can remove the only legal target of the Unlicensed Disintegration and therefore not take the damage. So just being a little extra careful here. He might fire it off during Nassif's upkeep, or he might wait for Nassif to tap some mana, or show what card he drew. But I think, for all practical purposes, I think the game is locked up here in favor of Martin Yuza.
Yeah, this is just being extra careful. It makes a lot of sense because there's really no reason for Martin to act first here. What's the upside to him acting first? Like you said, if it gets interrupted in some way, the game could fall apart on him. Where here, he says go. If Gabe does anything that threatens Martin's life, he says, okay, fine, go to kill you. And if he doesn't, then he just goes to his turn. It looks like he's just going to do it on his upkeep here. And this should do it.
Just waiting for you to bump.
And that does it. Gabriel Nassif extends the hand, and Martin Yuza wins the match 2-1. Great stuff from Martin down there. Man, these are tough matches. These guys are going to be frazzled by the time they hit the end of the Swiss portion if they have to play these tough matches against tough competition like this. And Martin Yuza improves to 11-3 and is looking to put up a really strong finish for his team, Channel Fireball Fire, as well. That's the kind of secondary team for Team Channel Fireball, the non-Hall of Famer team, if you will. But, I mean, this is a great finish forming for Martin Yuza there as well. Gabe Nassif, on the other hand, 10-3-1 now for Team Opportunity, and he's looking to put together a strong, high pro point, high money finish here now.
So both those players still in contention then for top 8? Possibly.
Yes. 10-3-1 is razor thin margins. If he wins out and his breakers are good, he could definitely make it into the top 8. Gabe Nassif, I mean, he's done it before 9 or 10 times. So, so he could come back there for sure. And then on the other side, again, Martin Yuza looking good still with only 3 losses, and he gets to control his fate, right? It's up to him to decide and to try to win his last few matches and try to get the job done. All right, that's going to do it for round 14 coverage here from the booth. Let's send it back up to the news desk.
players are really starting to hone in on the records needed to make the top 8. I got a couple of results for you here. I could tell you that Pro Tour Magic 2015 champion Even Flock goes to 11-3, still alive very much for the top 8. He defeated Tim Wu. Tim Wu falls to 10-4. Marcio Carvalho defeated Yu Chen Liu. And so Marcio Carvalho goes up to 12-2, the draft master. Yu Chen Liu of the 5 Grand Prix top 8s, he falls to 12-2. Both of those players very much alive. We believe, X and 3 is really where the cutoff is. We'll talk to Luis in a little while. We'll figure out what that looks like. I can tell you that Ken Yukihiro defeated Hall of Famer Ben Rubin. Ken Yukihiro goes to 11-3. Ben Rubin falls to 10-4. And of course, we saw in the feature match area, Sean McLaren goes to 11-3, knocking Owen Turtenwald back to 10-4. I don't know if you remember yesterday when Owen was 1-2. We said that Owen would claw his way back into this tournament, and he certainly did. I can tell you that Tim Willoughby is on the floor, and he has Martin Yuza down there with him. And I have a couple questions for Martin, and I just want to make sure that I can get them over to you, Tim. So from the balcony, I'm literally going to throw to you on the floor. So get ready, Tim. We're sending it down to you on the floor to talk with Martin Yuza.
That didn't go very well. Oh, okay.
All right, thanks for that, Brian. Got a few questions for Martin here. Question number 1. You're on Channel Fireball Fire. You've had, obviously, a fantastic run in this. How's the testing gone for you? How did you come to play the deck that you're playing this weekend?
Testing was amazing. All the guys do a lot of hard work, both limited, like a lot of spreadsheets, Sam Black, Justin Cohen, and constructed as well. We have Raptor, the great constructed mastermind. So we tried a lot of decks. This was one of the decks that Metsavera brewed at some point. Raptor built like a different version, then I played it a little bit on Modo, changed some cards around, and I liked it a lot. I tried to tell the other guys to play it as well, but they weren't as excited as I was, so they ended up playing a different deck, but for me it's been working fine.
And it is a slightly unusual deck compared to what we're seeing on a lot of the top tables. What is it that really sets it apart for you?
The fact that people don't know what I'm playing. Like round after round, people are like, "Oh, I didn't know how to sideboard. Should I have taken this card out? Like, should I have kept those cards in?" Like the biggest edge is people not knowing what I have in my deck, in my sideboard, how exactly my deck plays out. Like if I have creatures and burn spells or planeswalkers and like big stuff or whatever. That's the biggest draw for me for the deck.
And the last one, Brian mentions here, it's been a little while since your last Pro Tour Top 8. Obviously, at this point, you're in the running. There's still a couple of rounds to go. How much would it mean to you right now to get back in another Pro Tour Top 8?
It would mean the world to me. I can't even give you a good answer.
Fantastic stuff. There you go, Brian. All your questions answered. Back to you in the booth, and best of luck to you in the following rounds, Martin Yuza. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tim. I'm glad that worked out. And thank you, Martin Yuza, for answering our questions. I know how important another top 8 would be for you. Meanwhile, we have some more standard deck techs for you. We've talked a lot about the big 3, but there's a couple decks that have been floating around the tournament that are maybe a little bit off the beaten path. One of those decks was played by Jason Chung, and we have Luis Scott Vargas at the wall, ready to dive into this 5-color monstrosity. Why don't you wander through this deck list for us, Luis?